All right, I'd like to welcome you to In the Conference Room with Mark S. Lee. And as we do each and every week, it's just an honor for me to do this for you. I appreciate the outstanding feedback for all of you for tuning in and certainly checking it out. Again, I want to thank everyone for recently had a 5-year celebration in downtown Detroit for the conference room. All the people showed up. I was overwhelmed. I'd like to thank all of you. But it's not about me, and it's about our guests. So we have a very special guest joining us. If you're here in Detroit, and I know most of you are, you've probably heard of our football team called the Detroit Lions. And I'd like to welcome starting offensive guard for the Lions, Mr. Jonah Jackson. Jonah Jackson, thanks for joining me. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Appreciate you for having me.
Absolutely. So you know, everybody wants to know before we jump into the conversation. What happened recently in Kansas City with the Lions team? Did you have a feeling going into that game that you had that you're going to knock them off, or was it kind of what was the team's mindset going in?
Definitely. And I mean, you need to have that mindset just to be a competitor in this league. And if you don't, then I don't know what's wrong with you. We've had this mission, planning for a long time, and that first game was always the most important one, especially the Super Bowl champs. So, going in there, going into a hostile crowd, those are the moments you live for, and then being able to capitalize and win, nothing like it.
Well, and you talk about the crowd. The Detroit crowd showed up. I read some reports, maybe a third of the stadium were Lions fans. Maybe that's on the high side, but there was a good number of fans there. Did that shock you?
Man, I remember we were doing our pregame warm up. We're all going through our drills and stuff, and we hear L-I-O-N-S line line line. And we're hearing a chant going. I'm like, whoa, this is a first, especially at a stadium like that. And then I look around, and the whole lower bowl, you see some red, but it's a lot of Honolulu blue around there, so it looked good, and it was great. It was great having them there.
So compare that experience last game of the year against Green Bay, going to Green Bay. Obviously, the Lions have had struggles in Green Bay, but the number of fans there after the Lions knocked off the Packers and the fans just kind of hung around. So when I was watching the Kansas City game, it was reminiscent of that experience back in Green Bay, was it?
Yes, it was pretty much just like it because Lambeau, is a hostile environment in itself, and you see all that Honolulu blue, and it's pretty distinct from that Chiefs red. So it was
Yeah.
awesome. You got all the fans yelling. They know my name now, so it's pretty cool.
They know who you are. So let's kind of go back and find out who Jonah Jackson is. Let's just kind of circle back and talk about you, your background. Where are you from, and where did you go to college? Where did you play ball at, and what roles led you to Detroit?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Media, Pennsylvania, small suburb city right outside of Philadelphia. I'm one of five, so I come from a gang of football players and cheerleaders and stuff. So this has been instilled in me from a young age, and so I went to Rutgers initially. So I did my undergrad there, did 4 years there, and then the transfer portal came about. So
Mhm.
went and explored options, and then I did my 5th year at Ohio State. Had some success there, went to the playoffs and stuff, and then ended up going through the draft process. And I had no idea it was going to be Detroit. They
Mhm.
coached me in the Senior Bowl, so I guess they got an idea of me, so they didn't need to do any like formal interviews that they do at the combine, none of that. And draft night came, we're sitting there, and I forget, I think it was the Colts who had a pick. So I was like, I don't think they're gonna need a guard or anything. And then out of nowhere, I get a call from I think it was like Fall Rivers, Massachusetts. And I was like, I'm getting ready to go to Foxborough and be a pitch. And I pick up the phone and it's Bob Quinn, and he's like, "Hey, Jonah, you remember me?" I'm like, "Damn right, I remember you. What's up, brother?" And he's like, "How you feel about becoming a Detroit Lion?" I was like, "Man, bring me on. I have no idea about Detroit, but I'm ready to go." And they picked my number. They actually traded up. They traded, I think, a pick or something like that to get a couple picks ahead.
Mhm.
But it was love at first sight once I got here. And it was a great staff, and they brought an even better staff in. So, I have no complaints.
Yeah. And so you come to Detroit, and how many years ago was that, Jonah? That was
This is
few years.
this year four, so that was summer of 2020. Yep.
Okay. So I think the mindset is so people wonder you're drafted by Detroit and the Lions, obviously a historical franchise, 90 years old now. But we all know the history, the recent history of the team. So when you come to a team like the Lions that have struggled over the years, what was your first mindset? I know you got the phone call, the excitement is there, and then the excitement wears off. You realize you got to go to work, so to speak. What is the mindset coming into a challenging situation at that time?
Yeah.
Is it one of anticipation? Like what happened to me? Kind of talk about that.
So I had been on a struggling team prior. Rutgers in my 4 years wasn't the star of the show always, but I had faced the adversity in times like that, and then I'd seen the winning side. I'd seen
Yeah,
what it is, what it takes to win it all when I went to Ohio State. So, going in there, I mean, they had a good offense. They had Stafford slinging the rock, had a good offensive line. I was just ready to come contribute. But things like that take time, and I feel like now we're on pace and we hit that spark. And so I feel like we're gonna hit the ground running and I'm excited.
yeah. I know you and I were chatting, and a couple weeks ago we were talking about Detroit. Obviously, I've been a lifelong season ticket holder, a lifelong fan. One of the things I noticed about the Detroit fan base is uh, it's like the Lions have this cult following. It's hard to explain. I just can't explain it. Win or lose, people are still here. They go to the
Uh,
games. Uh, and I always say this: if the Lions ever win the Super Bowl, I remember the Red Wings won, I think 1.2, 1.3 million people showed up downtown. I always tell people take that number and multiply it by two if the Lions. And so you experiencing the city now and experiencing the area, what is the special connection do you think it is between the players and the city itself and fans of Detroit?
we were all dying to win. We're
Hmm.
all hoping to be successful and ride out into the sunset with a ring. And it's been a long time coming, and I feel like I said, we've started that spark, and the fans see it, and we feel it. And all of us coming together, that culmination of uh, having a tough home crowd and playing the games now. They're going to come in here. They're not going to be able to hear a peep. The stadium was rocking 2 years ago, and we were I don't even
Yeah.
know one and whatever. I remember Lamar saying it was the loudest stadium he's played in. So it's exciting, and it's very grateful to have them behind us. You got you yourself behind us, so it makes us feel good and makes the job even easier.
So many people want to know about what's about your background and study, but obviously Dan Campbell. Everyone, I mean, he's like become almost a national darling. I put that in
Uh-huh.
quotes, if you will. You watch the national games. They've already got a clip of him. His veins popping out. But talk about him as a coach. Is he a player's coach? Is he? How would you define his style? We see the public persona, obviously from Hard Knocks last year, and we see him in his news conferences weekly. We see him on the sidelines. But behind the scenes, without getting too proprietary stuff, I totally get that. How would you categorize him as a coach?
Yeah, I definitely say he's a player's coach. He played for a long time, so he knows the ins and outs of it. He knows all the dings and dents you're going to get. He knows everything. So he has a good understanding of how to maintain the team, how to keep us healthy, and attack when we need to attack and take off when we need to take off. But I none but praise for MCDC, the household name. He's a great guy. You see him himself. I think he's ready to pad it up. So
Yeah, he does.
he holds himself to the same standard we hold ourselves to, and I mean, we couldn't ask for a better coach, especially, you see him in the media and biting off kneecaps and stuff, and he's really ready to bite off some kneecaps, but nothing like I don't know, too crazy. But he knows how to handle it, and he's got just a steadiness about him. It's the same guy every day. It's nothing too high, too low. It's the same guy every day.
And that intensity that he displays, it's like literally, you're right. When he's in front of the cameras, he's rubbing his forehead and he's doing this. It looks like he's just ready to put the pads on right there and there. So let's go. I'm ready to
Uh-huh.
rock and roll.
Uh-huh.
That's awesome. So, yeah, I got to ask you. Obviously, the big news recently was that of Aaron Rodgers going down in New York. Obviously, I was watching the game. I'm sure everybody had a curiosity factor. As a player, and I know he's been an opposite team for a long time with the Lions, but how did you feel when you saw him go down his very first game in New York on national television the other evening?
Yeah, obviously any situation like that where a player gets injured, it hurts because you don't ever want that to happen to you, and then to see it to happen to somebody who had so many plans in store for that city, and
Mhm.
the crowd showed out. I don't think I've ever seen MetLife look like that for a season opener, and um, it sucks, but it's the nature of the game. Things like that happen, and you can only wish them the best.
Yeah, yeah, that was even as a Lions fan, we know about the great rivalry between Detroit
Uh-huh.
and Green Bay over the years, but you still you don't want to see that. I mean, I think
Never,
at the level we
never.
still no, you never don't
You got to
you don't
respect
want
a
to see that.
legend like that. That guy,
Yeah,
Hall of Famer, gold jacket guy, and everything. And he's a quality class dude. Like even myself, somebody probably has no. He's shaking my hand, dap me up. Just he's a class act, and you only can wish him the best.
yeah. Let's segue about the transfer portal. I remember you and I had a conversation about that, and obviously the talk of college football right now is Colorado. And certainly we know what Deion Sanders is. It's still early in the season. I get it.
Mm.
But obviously they won the first couple of games, and the quarterback, his son, is putting up tremendous numbers. But a good number, he turned over the team essentially using that was a transfer portal, I
Yep.
guess, right? So talk about um, how that's changed the dynamic of college football, number one, and number two, the names, images, and like this NIL, the impact that's had on recruiting and on all these teams in college football getting to the next level very quickly.
Yeah, I mean the transfer portal is like NFL free agency, and guys can pretty much. I mean, I feel like it's more on the player now than it is on the team. So like players can just hop on in, go to another team, and build something. And I feel like it's had its ups and its downs. Sometimes some players get themselves in a great situation, and sometimes they put themselves in even worse of a predicament. So to each their own, and that's how it should be. In the NFL, you're your own and like business entity. You're part of a team, but how you take care of yourself, the decisions you make, so for college to get them ready for that, that's how they take care of themselves, the decisions they make, where they choose to play ball. I feel like it's been good. I mean, it helped me a lot. So I mean, why can't it help anybody else? But just a matter of it being utilized in the right way. I feel like will be the most positive effect on college football. But the NIL stuff, I think that's huge. I think a couple of us old heads a little salty. We just missed it, but it keeps us humble. It kept us humble. So I remember our cost of attendance, which was like your monthly check, they had uh, brought it in like I think my freshman year. So you get like $2,000 a month, and you think you're on top of the world, bachelor, living large. And now I hear guys, just anybody's getting 60 grand a year. So it's like, damn, like this, they can take care of their families. They can, take care of themselves very well. And I think it's awesome, because finally we bring all this money into these schools and these universities.
Mhm.
They're essentially there to watch us play. And
Yeah.
jersey sales and everything, the top players, they're getting before they were getting their jerseys sold and they weren't seeing anything for it. But now I feel like it's had a huge effect. Some maybe I don't know. I haven't been inside of a college locker room to see if it has a negative effect, but I've only seen the positives. Guys getting free cars, taking care of their families, buying their mom and dad homes. So I feel like it's been a huge plus from my standpoint.
And then you have Jim Harbaugh recently who came out and suggested that the college players be paid or somehow share in the overall revenue. Because to your point, because of all the dollars that the players are bringing in into these universities. And I think, personally speaking, I think if he had made that comment 10, 15 years ago, he probably would have gotten more pushback from it, right? But it seems now, I think even the audience, the fan bases are understanding the value of these student athletes in terms of, yeah, I'm going to your case, you played Ohio State, you played at Rutgers or Big House in Ann Arbor or Michigan State. I mean, people are going to go and see the teams play. What do you say to those who say, but wait a minute, Jonah, they're getting, you know what I'm saying? They're getting a scholarship, they're getting the education, they're getting blah, blah, blah. What do you say to those individuals?
I mean, there's a lot to say. I've had a couple arguments with a couple people, but do they wake up at 5 a.m. to go bear crawl a 100-yard football field and snake the
Mm,
stairs and go put their body and limbs and brain on the line just to, make it happen and entertain people? And at the end of the day,
yeah.
because they love it, but there could also be compensation to it. They're considered, we do the same thing. We get compensated, so why can't they? and it's even harder on them because I don't have to go pick up a textbook and read pages a week and write a 12-page paper and then study for friggin' Michigan Wolverines. So I feel like people are always going to have their opinions on things and see because you're getting a scholarship and you want money,
Yeah,
but I feel like they've earned it, and if it wasn't for the players, what would we be watching? I feel like college football is such a big stamp in like American society. People watch more college football than they do the NFL probably sometimes. So um I just feel like it's been great for them, and especially for the players, man, being able to support a lot of those guys. A lot of people come from not too much. I didn't come from everything. I didn't. I wasn't able to support my parents necessarily in college, but now thinking about it, if I was in college and I was able to do that, we'd probably be in an even better place than we are now. So I
yeah.
think,
I have a couple. Go ahead.
no, I said I just think it's been great. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm also, as many of you know, I'm an instructor. I'm a college instructor. I teach at over my shoulder there, Eastern Michigan University, at Madonna University, and at Northwood. I have several of my former student athletes who are playing in the NFL. In fact, one of my former athletes, I always use him as an example, is Andrew Wiley, who played for the Kansas City Chiefs. He has a couple of Super Bowl rings. And I remember, Andrew, to your point, would come to class. Uh, Play at Eastern Michigan. I think Eastern will play like on Tuesday night games. They had the MAC action on ESPN or something like that. And they would travel to a school, let's say in Ohio, and they would get back at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And then our class was, let's say for the sake of discussion, was 10 o'clock. And he showed up. He was at every class and taking notes. And then one day he comes up to me and says, Professor, I have to leave class early. And I said, well, what's going on? He said, we got practice down at Ford Field because we're playing a MAC championship game or some game down. So I said, well, I'm not going to stop you from going to that. My point is, hard worker, dedicated young man. Obviously, he's doing well in the NFL. He just went from Kansas City this year to the Washington Commanders for the first time. But you see the dedication, excuse me, the dedication and the hard work these young men, such as yourself, have put in. I think it's certainly the right move to certainly give the guys the opportunity to benefit for what they're helping to reap for the NCAA at large. No questions. I got to ask you too about the in the locker room. So you play for Rutgers for 4 years and Ohio State for a year. Is there still that intercollegiate rivalry in the locker room for the big games? Like Michigan, for example, is playing Rutgers in a couple of weeks, I think, and then Ohio State, of course, is playing Michigan. Do you guys have fun with those rivalries in the locker room?
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially like we had rivalries at Rutgers, but like when I got to Ohio State and that Ohio State Michigan rivalry, I mean, they live it every day. You know,
Hmm.
we do a core workout at the end of every workout. So say it's 180 days until Michigan. You do 180 reps of holding a 45-pound plate, doing
Oh,
crunches.
jeez.
So it's a countdown like pretty much every day. So that especially being in that rivalry, there was nothing like it. I remember going to the stadium, like we pulled up to the game, and you hear all the hype around it, and then you get into the field and you got to walk through that little skinny tunnel to get out on the field,
Tunnel.
effing you up, throwing all types of cusses at you, and it seems like it's a bad thing, but that stuff gets you going. You're like, yeah, let's go. To be able to live that and be a part of that and to see the big house rock and especially in an away environment, those are the best because you see the hostility and stuff, and you really see what guys are made of in an adverse situation. So there was
Yeah.
nothing there was nothing like that.
So let's talk life beyond football. Let's talk life outside of football right now. I know that you have a newborn and your wife and have a newborn. How has that changed your life? Obviously, so much dedication, working out, playing games, and your mental focus for football. But how has that changed your life coming home at night and just seeing the little one and your family there?
Oh man, there's nothing like it. Especially now she's getting a little older. She's starting to like recognize when I walk in, kicking her feet. And it's motivation. I have another plate on the table that I got to feed, and this is half of me. This is something that I created, and there's nothing like it. Being able to see everybody with their kids and stuff, and you hear like, oh no, your life's going to be
Yeah.
miserable. You're not going to get sleep. She's been an angel baby. she makes going to work every day worth it. And my wife too, she's been friggin' superwoman doing this thing. She's on top of it. I'm over here having fun being a kid all day, just playing football. She's over here, maintaining, grinding. She's comes from a tightly ran household, and she's keeping this a tight ship over here too. So it's been great, and I feel like it's developed me more. Just uh, I was playing for something, but I'm really playing for something now
Yeah,
because
really, yeah, yeah. That's the key. I think a lot of times as fans, we forget. We see the people in the gridiron, and we see people in the basketball court, the baseball diamond, the hockey rink, whatever the case might be. But they're humans. Everybody has a family in some way, shape, or form, and you're supplying for somebody else. So it's got to be awesome just to go home and after a rough day, and just see your little one there, just brings a smile to the face. And as we continue to talk more stuff outside of the football world, you said you have a degree. You have a degree in criminal justice. Is that right?
correct.
Yeah. And but as you think beyond football, years down the road, what do you see yourself doing? What do you have an interest in doing?
I like to do a lot of things. One of my main like hobbies outside of like maybe finishing up school, I like to cook. I've been on a recent kick of making like sourdough stuff. I created my own starter. It's a whole elaborate process you got to do, but going down that avenue, maybe even open up a cafe one day, a little hole in the wall. And that's just one of the many ideas. Or even go back to school, finishing up my master's in sports admin at Ohio State, and maybe doing a little athletic director work, something along those lines.
So your interest is becoming an entrepreneur as a small business owner,
Definitely.
potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, entrepreneurship is I've been doing that for a long time, and it's I tell people, I worked in corporate America for a long time. But there's nothing like being an entrepreneur, man. It gives you that flexibility, it gives you the opportunity to still meet people. You have an idea, you can take the idea and run with it. Sometimes it's successful, sometimes it's not. So it's a different type of playing field, but it also helps to build character. It
Indeed.
also allows you to build that focus. And I think a lot of people have an interest in entrepreneurship because as the economy continues to change, and back in the day when I grew up in Detroit, you went from high school to college, maybe graduate school, or you went from high school to college and straight to one of the auto plants,
Yep.
right? Or you went into the office environment. Now, when I talk to my students at Eastern Michigan, the other universities, man, they want to go straight. They want to go straight from college, from getting their college degree to making $1 million a year. And I
Uh,
said, well, how are you going to do it? Well, professor, I want to become a small business owner. I'm gonna come up with the latest app. My point is, so entrepreneurship to a lot of people, it's become a new American dream for a lot
uh,
of individuals. Yeah, absolutely.
People want their own schedule. They don't want to be on anybody else's time.
Yeah, yeah, and I think as we talk about your own schedule and your life outside of football, any other hobbies, any other things you like to do besides cooking a sourdough and now hanging out with the family. Do you guys travel, or what else
Yeah,
do you like to do?
we travel a lot. We love Florida. We're always down in Miami. We always every off season we'll usually take a trip down there. Get a little cabana, some fruit plate, a little mojito on the beach. But
Mhm.
yeah, we like to travel. We like to get out places, go visit friends, play video games and stuff. I'm a pretty simple guy. I'm not too extravagant. I don't know, looking at artwork at the museum and stuff. I like the beach. That's one of my main things. I like sitting by the water. Yeah.
Just kind of chilling.
Uh,
And before we wrap up, talk about the experience at the Pro Bowl last year.
Oh, that was great. So that was my first time in Vegas. So, we got out there. We were pretty far from like the strip. So we had stayed on Lake Mead. And then I remember coming back from like the first practice and not seeing a single soul there. I'm like, where the heck is everybody? Like, where's everybody? And they're like, yeah, they all left. They're all on the strip now. I'm like, all right, who can I get in touch to get me a room out there? And I ended up getting a room at the Encore Tower Suites, and my mom, brother, future wife all came out. We had a blast, all those places. I'm a foodie, so we went out to the restaurants and stuff, and then being able to see like Russ and Kirk and Justin Jefferson and George Kittle and all the future legends. It was awesome.
I can only imagine. And so, as we begin to wrap up, too, looking ahead into the season, obviously Seattle's on the horizon, and other teams. How far are we going to go this year? I should say, see, that's my fandom coming out. Let me rephrase the question. How far are the Lions going to go this year?
Want to, man. It's up to us, and we just got to make the constant effort each week to be the best players we can be, and execute all the coaching that's given to us. Even last week, we didn't even play our best. That wasn't even close. Guys are just getting the kinks out, getting the jitters out, the first game jitters. So, we're looking to stack and flip each and every week. And we got a good opponent in Seattle. They got a really good front. They got a good defense. They're coming off a loss, and we owe it to them a little bit because these past 2 years they handed it to us. But we'll only go as far as we want to, and I feel like we've got a good team. We got a lot of professionals, a lot of mature guys. We're no longer like we may be younger by the numbers, but we've had guys that are in the league for a little while now. So we got good leadership guys to keep us on track, and I can't say exactly what the number will be, but you want to win everything, don't you? That's
Yeah.
what we all want to do. Party on
Just,
Woodward.
hey, ready? We're ready to be down there. The last thing is got to be awesome to see Barry Sanders and Megatron. Obviously, Calvin Johnson now coming back around the team and other. I love the connection that's taking place between the older lions, the mature lions, if you will, the older slash mature lions coming back and re-engaging with the existing team. It's got to make you feel good to have that connectivity as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. I've got a good relationship with Lomas Brown and TJ Lang. Those are both Lions legends. And then I'd seen Calvin a few times. I never really realized how big and gigantic he was at freaking wide receiver. But
Yeah,
I actually talked to him this offseason a little bit, just chatting it up. But to see a legend like that guy, I mean, you can see why he was absolute greatness. And then Barry around there, it's awesome. These are
that's
guys
awesome.
played Madden and created an all-time team with, and now
Yeah,
they're right in front of you talking to you.
that's awesome. Well, Jonah Jackson, I want to thank you for your time and taking a few minutes in the conference room with me. And good luck for the rest of the season. It's good catching up with you as well.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you as always. Go Lions.
Absolutely. Go Lions. And we appreciate all of you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, obviously, to the YouTube channel. You can also check me out on CBS News here in Detroit. And as part of Strictly Business, we'll be addressing business issues and talk about what's happening. That's just not just in Detroit, but across the country as well. But you all to go make it a great day. And we will check you out next time. We'll end the conference room with Mark S. Lee.